Hello everyone, my name is Elizabeth Lawrence and welcome to my graphic novel assessment website. For this assignment I chose the Salina Public Library's graphic novel collection, and I did both the adult collection and the youth collection kind of as a whole, but I will talk about them separately. So first, on the introduction page, of course, I have the name of the library and a little bit about the community that it serves. It's a smaller community, but it's a very nicely sized library. There are about 47,000 people in Salina, and the demographics of the community is predominantly white, about 86%, according to the census, and with a Hispanic/Latino population of about 10%. And it's an older community as well. It's actually mostly like retired people, and then couples with families and with kids. So you can see the numbers there on that, about 19,000 families. I couldn't find official statistics on what kind of library users come to the library, but this is actually the library I work at. So just from my own experience, it's used a lot by families, at least in the children's department, and like retired individuals. And it is in the poorer part of town on the north side, so that kind of affects like the demographic of just who comes in and the kids and kind of just their needs base. So that's the introduction there to the library. And for the collection itself, it was I'm pretty pleased with what our library has when it comes to graphic novels, considering how, I guess, fairly new they are with gaining traction. This is the youth section right here. Right here is the just the junior kind of fiction graphic novels. Past it right here is the nonfiction, and I talk about this in the paragraph, which I can let you guys read if you'd like. And the nonfiction area is pretty small, and then past that is the YA section, which is also fairly small, only takes up about 3 shelves. And then the manga is actually housed upstairs, and in the youth, the manga is interspersed in the YA, and there's only like 3 series. There's really not a lot of manga downstairs in the youth department. But the adult section has pretty good manga, but a lot of it is lost or long overdue or missing, because they're very high lost titles. So it doesn't have a lot. It's just, I'm pretty sure just this shelf, and then on the back side of this shelf is actually the anime. And as you can see, the adult graphic novel, this is the recorded books that are right here, so those are kind of the same picture. The graphic novels are right next to like the recorded books, and there's not really a whole lot of them, and it's kind of hidden away in a corner of the library around by the CDs, so it's kind of strange placement, and I actually say that's one of the weaknesses of this library, is the placement of their graphic novels. And there's not any nonfiction graphic novels in the adult graphic novel section. They do not have a specific section for nonfiction like the youth does. All their nonfiction graphic novels that I was looking for in their catalog are actually shelved in the regular nonfiction, so that's also something that I would change, is I would like put the memoirs in nonfiction maybe, and then just add more nonfiction for the adult section. But I don't think it's quite as important to have adult nonfiction graphic novels as it is for the youth graphic novels, which I'll talk about a little bit more later. But that's something that I would maybe see as a weakness or change it a little bit. I also had one of the librarians report for me, a circulation report, so I could get circ numbers, and they do pretty well for themselves when it comes to circulation, especially with the youth. There's almost like 3,000 checkouts every year. And the highest numbers were in 2014, but they still get like over 2,000 checkouts. And the adults it's around there, but it has less checkouts. So that just goes to show that the graphic novels are more popular with the youth than they are with the adults, which doesn't really surprise me. So that's the assessment. Alright, so for my interview, you can see it right here. If you want to pause so you don't have me talking at you, if you want to read for details. But I interviewed actually 2 people, one for the adult collection and one for the youth collection, because their ordering is actually different. They have different people who do that. Angela Allen was the head of information services and the head of collection development for the adult materials. and she told me that there's not one person who is responsible for graphic novels. There's 4 librarians up there, not including her, who all do joint ordering and kind of do it together, and like she looks over it all, of course. But they do it all together, and there's not a specific budget allotted for graphic novels. And they're just lumped in with the print materials. And Lisa, the head of the youth department, told me the same thing. She does not have a specific budget set aside for graphic novels. She just orders them with the rest of the print materials, and she uses the usual avenues such as trade reviews, patron requests, things like that to guide things that she purchases. And Angela does very much the same. Okay, the collection development plan. Maybe. Okay. So I broke it up into fiction titles I would purchase, nonfiction, and then manga. And you can see some of my rationale for everything. I just want to give a huge shout out to everybody's resource guides, because $3,000 is a chunk of change, and your resource guides really helped me find titles that were good that I could add when certain areas that I thought needed to be filled in, and just to give me an idea. So your resource guides were awesome for this, and you'll recognize a lot of the books on here. The main challenge I had when putting this together was finding books that the library did not already have in their collection, which is a good challenge to have. It shows that the library has a good collection and all that. But a big thing with this library that I noticed is they have a ton of graphic novels and superhero comics and all that on their online libraries for Hoopla. Hoopla was a big one for that. So, but I went ahead and bought some duplicates though that they had on Hoopla, but not in print, because I think it's really important. Graphic novels should be print books, just because of their format and I've tried to read some graphic novels on the electronic, and it's just hard for me because you can't really see the details of the pictures if you're on your phone and all that. So I didn't feel bad about doing some double purchasing because they didn't have the physical copies of a lot of these. This is one that was online, but not actually in the library as a print material. So that was kind of an interesting thing when I went through it. Youth graphic novels, I thought I was going to do more nonfiction because I think it's really cool to have textbooks and resources and nonfiction for that. But again, the library did have some good resources already, and I found a lot of fiction titles on the graphic novel reading lists and your guys' resources that I really liked and decided to go ahead and add to the collection. I did some classics because I think those are cool in graphic novel format, some video game books that I thought were fun, and just some good series, and then I broke it up into YA and middle grade, and then for elementary. And then I also added a lot of manga to the young adult and the youth collection because again there's only 3, and I think manga's really popular with teens and stuff. So I found some good manga from your guys' resources guides and also ALA's lists. So, and you can see my budget here. I was about $100 under, and I did that because I think I want to buy some new shelving for either the youth or probably the adult after I buy all these books, because they kind of didn't have a great shelving space. So, alright, and then, so just in conclusion, I wrote that here in my references. I didn't have very many, but overall, I think it's a pretty good graphic novel collection. They had a lot of stuff. Again, that was one of my struggles, was finding things that they didn't already have. And they have tons of their online electronic library stuff. But I would probably change where they house their graphic novels, at least up in the adult collection. I think it's great where they have it down in the children's department because it's the first shelf and it's clearly marked and all that. But it's kind of hidden away upstairs. So I would change that, add some new shelving, maybe fill in some of their high loss items in the manga that they have and the award-winning and popular graphic novel series, and maybe add some more nonfiction. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty good collection, and with that maybe a little more allocated to the budget for it and some rethinking of their shelving and their space, I think they have a pretty good collection. So thank you for listening.